This episode of the MOC Squad was filmed in front of a live, members-only audience. Happy birthday to you.
Oh boy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rob.
It's amazing because it's true. It truly is my birthday.
It's your birthday weekend, I should say.
It's my birthday week. I did, just beyond my birthday a few days, but my birthday is on May 15th. It was nice to celebrate it. And here I am, a year older. I don't know if I'm wiser.
A year wiser, a year older. Another mile on the.
All I know is it's another step closer to death. The final, right. the great, as they said in Temple of Doom, where I go first, Indy. I hope I don't.
The final.
I have stuff to do. Yes. I have to finish all the perks for True Noir.
That's right.
So, yeah, they're going well. The soundtrack album's a banger.
Nice.
Very excited. I've been teaching myself some new skills.
I'm sure
on how to make that work out. So that's pretty cool. I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you had a nice celebration this week, and
it was very chill.
It
was very chill.
To continue that same vibe with today's member chat, for those of you out there in the YouTubes.
I apologize for being late, by the way. I got my wires crossed. I didn't know for sure if it was happening, but it was. That was all on me. So I'm sorry for being late.
We understand, when we get to a certain age, it happens to all of us, Rob. So
I was just in bed with Elizabeth enjoying our morning cup of coffee, and I'm like, oh shit, we're doing this. As you can tell by the hair.
Hey. It's all good. It's all good. But just to remind our friends on YouTube, if you're watching us, this is the members only call. So if you are watching us and you're not a member and you would like to join us here in the future, remember, becoming a member just costs $1 a month. You do that, you get the invitation to join us in the actual Zoom call so you can participate with us here. You get about 7 minutes of chat time with Rob.
Yeah, and I always forget to look at the tip link. You can participate via super chats and tips, which are in the description if you wanted to do that.
Very true.
And I always forget that. And now I'm looking at that link. So
yes,
yeah.
Make sure you if you want to submit your comments that way. And then we usually stream the live chat for about a couple of hours. And then we go offline from YouTube, but the chat continues until Rob says it's done. So that's usually how it goes. So Rob, we've got a hefty guest. Sorry, I messed up my words. A hefty list of birthday guests. Well, I guess wishing you to wish you for real this time a happy birthday. So I'm gonna go ahead and let them all in.
Let them in. Let's see that matrix fall. Yeah.
Here they come.
Let them in.
Welcome,
let them in.
Everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And as everybody cascades into our virtual space here, I'll go ahead and make Rob the center of attention as always. So let's go ahead and. Oh, you keep moving on my list because we keep letting people in the room. So let me go ahead and fix that. There you go. There's Rob. And if you, those of you who are joining us in the chat, remember you can use the tools, the bottom of the screen there. Raise your hand and I will call on you in the order that you show up on my queue here so you can share your questions and comments. And I guess before we start, some super chats are pouring in. So let's go ahead and read those quickly before we get started with our first chat here. You got Martino Spumoni. You are now Shatner age in Star Trek V. Beware of the rock.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you, Martino sent me 2 prisoner T-shirts from Port Marion.
Ooh.
From Wales. And they're, normally sometimes T-shirts are not, they're not great. Like these are great
They're
shirts.
Good quality, good.
But I mean the actual design and what they. If you're a Prisoner fan, they're really really good shirts. And I just got my box. There's Wandering Planet Toys, and they've done 2 crowdfunds for Prisoner figures.
Yeah.
And I just got my second box of them.
Those are
and I mean, it took a long time.
1/18 scale, right? Those are the 1/18 scale.
Yeah, the 3 3/4. And it's funny. They're really, they're carded figures, and they've done carded figures. They did a box set of 2 figures. They're great. Yeah. I mean, they did a great job. And I didn't. It's funny. I didn't open them. I put the cards in those lucite cases where you slide the thing in, and it's they're really good. Nice. So I had to do that, and it you have to wait, like with anything crowdfunding, when you're making perks that are actually manufactured. Like our perks for True Noir are going to be chef's kiss. They're really going to be high quality. Yeah. The soundtrack album went from a single disc to a double disc set. Wow. So it's going to have a 26-page booklet, and Jeff Bond, who wrote the double disc book, or the 2-volume set of Jerry Goldsmith, he wrote the liner notes for it. Nice. So and then I've kind of been working on both the Blu-ray and the soundtrack album concurrently. That's awesome. So yeah, they're really cool, and the soundtrack album is going to be done probably within the next 30 days. So it's really cool. It's really going to be a real thing. Yeah. It's sounding awesome, and I've been enjoying the the story immensely. So it's been great. Oh, great! I'm glad you like it. Hopefully, we do have the film script. That's awesome. And for the first, what would be, I guess, call it a backdoor pilot, but that is it's the script is really really good. Yeah, I mean it's set in 1947. Yeah, and it takes place. It's a serial killer story, nice. The famous lipstick killer, and it's based on Max Allan Collins based it on his novella Dying in the Post-War World. And it's a great, as far as a Nathan Heller story goes, it's a great, because the book we couldn't have done Assassination of Anton Cermak as a movie. It just, the story was just too big and sprawling. Right. So the script is more concise, more kind of streamlined. Yeah, it's a much more focused story. It doesn't have it's all set in Chicago, and it's based on a true story that involves serial murders of women and, unfortunately, the disappearance of a little girl. Wow. That does not end well. Yeah. And it's all true. Wow. It's all true. And so it's like a cross between LA Confidential and Seven. Wow. Okay. So that would be the first True Noir film, hopefully. And I just said we're going to start shooting it in February of 2026. Okay. And everyone's like, well, how can you just say you're going to do that? And I'm like, that's what you always do. You gotta put it out there to make it happen. Yeah, and Phil Dingledine, who's a producer of the audio drama, he'd be a producer on the movie. He's already got all the period cars hooked up. Holy Moses! Yeah, and so we got locations that we're going after, and we're just gonna go make it. Hey, why not? And I feel like the producer. I feel like Jeffrey Wright and Shakespeare in Love. Well, so where are you gonna get the money? How are you gonna? I don't know. Yeah. It's a mystery. We'll figure it out. It's a mystery. It'll happen. Darth Plato, good friend of the channel. Happy birthday, Rob. The hair looks great. That was for a $2 super tip. Super chat there. Thank you so much, Darth Plato. Hope you're joining us here in the chat today. Krizik has been a member for 11 months. And Krizik sent me a very nice birthday gift. Oh, thank you, Krizik. And it's very funny because I'll tell it later when he comes on when I actually speak to him. Okay, so but there's a connection to something I did when I was younger. Krizik says, something I actually made. As Darth Plato said, you are currently styling and profiling with your gore look.
Looks like a Chris
It's very
Moore
Beastie
look
Boys of him.
happening here. Then a couple more. Some old guy in Hawaii. Happy birthday. May you someday be as old as me. $10 super chat from some old guy in Hawaii. And lastly, we've got a performing artist for $4.99. Happy birthday, Rob. I'm about to see Final Destination. Hey, ever looked at that 29-page Magna Carta letter I sent you? My shameless plug, just saying.
Wait. Who wrote that?
This is a performing artist. Says, happy birthday, Rob. And they say that have you ever looked at a 29-page Magna Carta letter I sent you?
Didn't I read that?
I'm not sure.
I'll have to look.
We'll have to follow up on that. But thanks for the super chat. And I know that our friends have been waiting patiently here. So we've got our first caller, Joey Hamilton. Let's go ahead and bring in Joey. Welcome, Joey. You should be able to join us now.
Happy birthday.
How's it going, man? How are you?
I'm actually a little under the weather. I was supposed to be at a
that's not
wedding. Supposed to be at a wedding this weekend, but I got some virus, and I'm not feeling that horrible today. It's just my throat is all rough, but other than that, I'm good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
That is a good thing. Feel better. I mean, obviously.
no, I'm fine. And I figured, I saw that you're doing the chat. I wasn't going to be on, but I was like, I'd really like to chat with you about Andor at least a little bit.
Please. I know that Darth Plato's got something to say about Andor coming up.
Yeah, and I did see you on some of the various shows talking. So you probably already. The big things that I really enjoyed about how it wrapped was the ending. I liked, it actually got a little closer to mainstream Star Wars, because people kind of felt like it was sort of thumbing its nose at, like the Force and just the classical Star Wars stuff. But I was a little surprised that they brought some of those elements in, and I really loved the end credits when they incorporated the original thing, because it was like, it felt like they'd earned, it was worthy of that John Williams music.
Yeah,
So,
which I thought was very cool that they waited.
yes, that's always, and that's really that's sort of like a microcosm of the whole Andor, because everything is sort of understated, including the Force, because in a lot of the newer movies, like, they've overdone the Force, and when it's a little more mysterious and they only refer to it and it's kind of kept in the background. And you've mentioned this too, like the same with the Jedi, when the Jedi are kind of, it's referenced, and they exist, but it's less is more. And I always think it's more interesting when they don't over explain stuff, and and then they kind of they tease stuff and they incorporate it in the perfect moments.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, one of my favorite things in Andor, in terms of the Force, was I thought it was one of the best depictions of the Force ever when they had that doctor, the Force healer, that Bix takes Andor to, and he's like kind of creeped out by it and like, I don't want to do this, and she walks up, she doesn't even know why. So I'll tell you something. I think Star Wars was correct about the Force in the original trilogy, and everyone else has been wrong ever since then. They say it right out. Ben Kenobi explains the Force in Star Wars. You have to go back to Star Wars as the original text, rightly or wrongly. Everybody else has taken it in different directions. Every author, every comic book writer, all the people that did the extended universe, Dave Filoni, all these people have removed, and even George Lucas himself in the prequel trilogy, changed what the Force was originally, how it was originally established.
Well, and the other thing they did is they started to focus too much on the details of it, so it became more like a superpower that they had, like shooting lightning. And this isn't like my original thought, but I've heard in some reviews people said that like they interpreted that as Palpatine like wanting to torture Luke. It wasn't like he had this superpower to shoot lightning, and then it turned into like all the Sith shoot lightning and then the Jedi don't. So like, yeah, they definitely overcomplicated that stuff, where even Return of the Jedi, like, Ben Kenobi's like sitting on a log, which is sort of
Well, I mean, yeah, all of that, the look in the original, and the problem, the problem that I have with all of this stuff is that as Star Wars became as popular as it became, everybody felt that they could contribute. I mean, if you listen to what Ben Kenobi and Yoda say in Star Wars and Empire, the Force is like gravity. It's like an elemental force that exists in the universe. And if you can tap into it, and everybody's a part of it, we all generate it, every living being, or anything like the biosphere of a planet is full of the Force. I mean, the Force is this, call it dark matter, call it what you want, and you can tap into it. You can tap in because we're all part of it. We're all part of the living Force. So if you can learn to tap into it, which I'm like, okay, so you can become skilled. You have to learn how to because for most people it's just background. They don't even know it's there. But if you can tap into it, then because it is there is a physical force. He says it surrounds us and binds us. And I always thought that was cool, which means anybody, you can probably, just like anyone, be more sensitive to it than others, but it's always there. And then they changed it and made it magic, and then with the midi-chlorians and it has to be. Now, I could have bought, I buy that certain people's physiology,
there's more sensitive to it, and they're more equipped to be able to manipulate it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
that makes total sense to me. That's why there could be force sensitive animals, but
I just think that like training to become a Force ghost. I just think that's sort of, it's just sort of silly. Well, how I will say one thing I really liked in the Rise of Skywalker is the way that the Han Solo memory, kind of that whole scene, because in my, I don't know, a lot of people kind of interpreted that as Kylo Ren was just sort of imagining him. I sort of thought it was like through the Force he was sort of conjuring up the memory of his father, and it was sort of like the way that you thought that the Force ghosts were in the original trilogy. It sort of was like Luke conjuring up Ben Kenobi and through the Force and communicating with him in that way. So I liked how that worked, because it wasn't like Han Solo was some ghost who learned to have everlasting life. It was more like, and then in the latest Avatar they did something like that where they could, you remember when their son died, they could interact with his memories. So I like that use of the Force. I actually thought that was cool.
Well, I mean, the problem, so in Star Wars, when they establish the vague idea of a Force ghost, when Ben Kenobi speaks to Luke, during the Battle of the Death Star, when he says use the Force, I always interpreted that as him, like it wasn't really Ben Kenobi there. It was Luke remembering Ben Kenobi, or use the Force. Luke is something he's listening to, because he's been studying, and his mind is now open more to the Force and memory, whatever. And then Ben Kenobi says that, and he turns off his targeting computer, and he does tap into this energy. But then by the time you get to at the end of Empire, oh no, that boy is our last hope. No, there is another, which means that these people that pass on, where are they hanging out? Like, if you still have some kind of corporeal existence and you've got a brain and you're a Force ghost somewhere, that assumes that when you're off camera, like you are somewhere. Like, where have you gone? Is there a place that you've gone? And it became muddled. And then suddenly, once there's a ghost, like, where do ghosts live when they're not talking to you? Like, Ben shows up on Dagobah at the end, in Jedi in the third movie, and has a conversation with Luke. Like, does he go somewhere when he's not talking to Luke? And if so, where? It suddenly becomes, and it goes more into the realm of total fantasy. And I guess Star Wars is fantasy, but once you've done that, then there are no rules. There are no rules that govern, no one's actually set down the rules of the Force. And so it spins off into La La Land, where we can shoot energy beams. And it's just like, okay, I guess. So, and that's that. I always thought that the depiction of the Force was diminished because, like you said, it became a superpower. So
good to see you, Joey. Thank you for joining us today. And next up,
now I'm sure all these people are going to tell me how the Force really works.
Now get ready for a lecture from all the Star Wars fans, Rob. We've got Andy from Argentina joining us. I'm curious to see if Andy has been watching El Eternauta, which I thoroughly enjoyed the first season of. Welcome, Andy.
Hola.
What's up, man? Hola.
Oh.
Feliz cumpleaños, Ro. How are you? Happy birthday. Just in case you didn't understand. I can't hear anybody.
You can't?
Oh,
Hello,
now I can hear
you.
you.
Hear us now?
Yeah.
Can
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Rob. How are you?
What's going on, man?
Fine. I would like to talk about a topic because you've been no, it's okay. You've been doing some other stuff, so I was surfing some other channels and I became a fan of,
How dare you?
well, I had to do something, right?
I know.
So I went on and became a fan of film, thread, and sometimes an erotic. I was already a fan of the Critical Drinker.
Yeah.
And all those guys. I'm not a fan of their Trump show, but I like when they talk about movies, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So, well, one thing struck me because the other day I was watching, like a series that could be considered what is called today content, if you know what I mean. It's not a series, it's content.
It's
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, so I was watching the regular DEI girl boss bullshit we have today. And then suddenly I was bored. I wanted to watch something. And suddenly I stopped. And I say, I don't have to watch this. So I just changed my mind and went surfing some from all movies. And then I watched 3 movies that I particularly like. Well, actually 2 of them that I liked.
What a refreshing change of pace to hear about a
Yeah.
movie you particularly liked.
Well, because I wanted to feel something, if you know what I mean. So basically, I searched some other streaming services and I got Arnold Schwarzenegger's Red Heat, which I don't care if people say it's a bad movie. I love it. So
I love
whatever.
Red Heat. Who doesn't love Red Heat?
The thing is that the other day, Chris Gore was talking about American movies that are afraid or apologetic about being distinctly American. He was talking about that. And I thought that it was interesting, maybe the approach of somebody who's not an American. I live very far away. I'm in Argentina. I've been watching American movies all my life. I love those movies. I don't like the shit you're shitting on right now. So I always try to go back when I want to be entertained. Yeah, I want to be entertained.
Sure.
So I go back and I try those movies because I like them. And one thing that when I was watching Red Heat for the, I don't know, millionth time, it doesn't matter. I was watching it and I say, okay, we have an Austrian guy because he was never really an actor, but we have an Austrian guy playing a Russian. We have an American guy playing another Russian. Then we have Jim Belushi. We have Larry Fishburne, not Lawrence Fishburne, because he was created as Larry Fishburne.
Yeah.
He was very, very young. And then we have some other actors that are very well known. But it's like the movie is always checking a balance between, like, these are the Russian bad guys, but we have a Russian that is a good guy. And these are the Americans who are good guys, but we have lots of American bad guys. And we have a woman who's a good guy, but there you have a woman who's a bad guy. It's always like a balance, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Even though it was 88 and they had every reason to make a movie that was always against the sun. the Soviets, you know, they still try to create a balance. And when you watch that movie, you're not watching something apologetic for the rest of the world. You're not watching something that is ashamed of the story they're telling, if you know what I mean. They are like telling a story. It doesn't matter if you need to turn your brain off or it's just a Saturday afternoon action movie from the 80s. Doesn't matter. The thing is that you don't feel the story to be forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't need you don't feel like they are balancing this. You're just watching the movie and watching the story. And whenever I watch a movie right now, with all the bullshit they're doing right now, it's like I cannot concentrate on the story, even though most of times it's really bad, because I'm just watching. Oh, of course, that's a perfect character because it's a black woman. Oh yeah, that's a weak character because that's a white man. Oh yeah, that's a hero because he's a Latino. Oh yeah, it's like I cannot put it out on my mind. It's always, putting me out of the movie, pulling me out of the movie, and it's really hard for me to concentrate because I don't know if it's maybe something wrong with me. Maybe I'm the problem, Maybe I don't know how to watch a movie.
You're not
these days, But I go back to watch a fairly maybe bad movie. Maybe I love it. Doesn't matter, And I only concentrate on the story, even though they were trying to balance things out. They weren't trying to make all the Americans the heroes and all the Soviets the bad guys. They were balancing it out, and I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about the story. I'm thinking about Schwarzenegger kicking ass in his prime. And today, I'm just, watching. All right, yeah, that's the hero. Is perfect. Is black. Okay, yeah. All right. Oh, those are the good guys. They are kissing. Those two guys, they are kissing. Yeah, of course, they are the good guys. It's like, I'm so tired of this bullshit, and probably that's the reason they are losing that much money, because we are all tired. And I'm not talking about Americans. This is a foreign approach. I don't give a shit about DEI. I'm from Argentina. I should be, promoting Latino heroes. I don't give a fuck about that. I watch Commando, and I appreciate that Arnold Schwarzenegger shreds like 100 Latinos in the final act. I'm cheering from the American, even though he's not American, but it doesn't matter. So you know what I mean, right, Rob?
Well, I think you've actually touched on something that is very interesting, because I think you're absolutely right. And I would say that this was a problem that has been imposed on our culture. Like, if you look at our cultural evolution, we were getting better and better and better. There was more tolerance. There was more, hey, gay, same-sex marriage, it was the law of the land. We were evolving properly. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, because really all it does is come down to money and power. So to me, it's not that there are conspiracies. There's just things that people are doing to consolidate power and to get rich. That's unfortunately it. There's no Satan who's come up here and who's figuring out a way to steal all of our souls. Believe me, I wish there were, because I would support that. But it's all about getting powerful and getting rich. And what has happened is there has been a victim narrative that was imposed on us using social media. Because if you were to track this stuff, and there are people that have done this, and there's documentaries about it, when we all got social media, and especially when it filtered down to where, like in 2012, in 2007, when the iPhone was introduced, they were very expensive. But by about 2012, everybody had an iPhone, kids especially, young people had iPhones. So for the last 13 years, I would say whoever wanted to manipulate our civilization, and there are many people that are manipulating our civilization from all over the place, whether it's through ads, whether it's through politics, whether they have injected a victim narrative, especially in the West. And you have money that has been poured into academia. Now we're seeing how much, like, places like Qatar have been fueling money into our institutes of higher education. There are people that are using those ideas, especially the victim narrative, to take apart Western civilization from our foundational. I mean, they have gone after our higher education has literally been under attack from bad actors for over a quarter century now. And if you want to follow the money, you can do that. Why? Because you can't defeat the West militarily, but you can destroy the foundational underpinnings of the ideas of Western civilization. And part of that is in our entertainment. And the victim narrative that has been imposed on people, suddenly we're all trying to be nice and polite. So it has spilled over. Now we have an entire generation of people that see themselves as victims. And they've now grown up, and they're now people that are controlling, they're working in the entertainment business. They themselves have been convinced they're victims and that they've been victims their whole lives. They've been victims of the entire West, which is just a bunch of colonial powers, even though, these colonial powers did do a lot of good in the world. And so all of this has permeated our entertainment. And you can go back and, it seems silly to say red heat, but what you just talked about is a perfect example of that. You go back and you watch look at Lethal Weapon as an example. By the time you get to Lethal Weapon 2, and you Riggs and Murtaugh was not so much, it had an underpinning of black and white, but it was mostly Murtaugh was the older family guy, and Riggs was the damaged, younger, death wish, I've lost my wife, I'm a burnout, and I'm getting too old for this shit. And it was Murtaugh that had the American nuclear family, and it was Riggs that was the crazy person. And in the second movie, South Africans were the white South Africans were the villains, and they finally they injected race into it as a way to say fuck you to the South Africans. And all of that stuff was all a part of our civilization. We were evolving pretty nicely. And then you look at the how social media has completely derailed the conversation. And we spent the better part of 15 years dealing with the fallout of everybody trying to apologize for the great civilization that we live in. And it's insidious. And make no mistake, it has been designed to do exactly from in terms of unchecked migration to, and look, I might sound like I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, but really it's all about money and power. That's what it comes down to. And unfortunately, there is no greater good behind it. No one is trying to make a better civilization. People are just trying to get rich. And to get rich, you have to be able to wield the power. And at the end of the day, how much money is not going to buy you happiness, but whatever. So we all have to pay the price, especially with our movies, which is too bad, because everyone who went and saw Red Heat or Commando knew exactly what they were going to get, and they delivered. That's why Schwarzenegger and Stallone became the hit makers they were when it comes to leaning into action adventure. And now you can't even do that without being, like you said, being mindful of, we're making an action movie where a lot of people get killed, but we have to make sure representation is fair. We have to make sure that we don't piss anybody off, which is ridiculous, because that goes against the very idea of an action film in the first place. There's a lot of bad guys out there that need to fucking die. And that's what it was about. And when you start trying to put a value judgment on, we can't just, like, if you're going after a Mexican drug cartel exists. They're out there. So when you watch John Rambo go after to drug runners in the triads in Asia, there's a lot of guys to kill because there's bad drug dealers. And it's like, if you go to Asia, most of them are going to be Asian. Does that mean it's racist against Asians? I don't think so. But nowadays it's like, you can't do that. So who do you have to turn into the evil villains? It's got to be white dudes. White dudes now are the only villains you can have with it and get away with it, which is the silliest thing in the world. When you go to China and you watch like a John Woo movie and you've got like Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung in Hard Boiled, they're Asian dudes going after other Asian dudes. And you don't have anybody in America going, There's no representation in those Hong Kong movies. I'm not going to watch a Japanese samurai movie unless there's a bunch of white dudes in it, black women fighting. I mean, come on, that's racist. No one ever thinks that, except in America, because we're dumb and immature, and we've been totally infantilized, and we're all victims because we've been told to be, and it sucks. I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger come back and kill a bunch of motherfuckers that deserve to die in Red Heat 2. So there you go.
All right. Well, with that, let's bring in Brian Ernie. Thank you, Andy, for spurring that conversation there. We've got.
I'm canceled.
Robert,
fuck off.
We've got Brian here to hopefully share some fun new toys. Welcome, Brian.
By the way, Brian Ernie has made an epic video that I'm going to play tonight on Rob's observations.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. It even has and I'm going to steal your opening, your PGS special presentation.
I love that so much. Creating that in After Effects.
It's so good. Oh, is that how you did that? Oh, it's great. It's great. And then you even use Ernie Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson's dad.
Oh,
did you know that?
No.
Okay, so Ernie Anderson, who did all like the ABC voiceovers and next week on Star Trek The Next Generation, that's actually P.T. Anderson, he of Boogie Nights and Magnolia. That's his father.
Had no clue.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun. You know, it's like there's no rules in doing a video like what I put together. And I just wanted it to be a glorious 70s and 80s celebration.
Oh, it's epic, dude. It's epic. Beyond my space in 4K.
Yes. And
the filming on it is truly epic. I mean, all your shell, I mean, all the moves and stuff. And I love that Star Wars. Where did you get did you make that Star Wars overlay where all the classic 12 figures?
No, I saw that on Etsy. And
really?
I was like, oh, I've got to have that. In fact, since we were talking about my movable camera, if the camera will follow me, voila. Can you see it?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that in the video, that is dope.
Yeah, it's
Is it just an overlay and you put it on your shelf?
No, it's an actual it's a little cabinet, and you take the opening and the front has a magnet, and you open it up and you put the figures in it and you close it, and it came fully lit and money well spent. Wow.
No, if I might ask, what does something like that cost?
I think it's like $300.
Wow, definitely worth it. It's really, really cool. Now, could you fit Black Series in there, or will it only fit the 3 3/4 inch figures?
They have variations on the cases.
Wow.
Like if you have the whole original series,
and they made that background. They made the graphic background that looked like the packaging and the early bird set.
Yeah.
Wow, that's dope. That's really, really neat. Do they do it for 6 scale figures?
Don't know, because I'm not a big 6 scale figure collector, but
because I would love to get a 6 scale version and put all the original series figure, the first Star Wars in that case. That would be an awesome Hot Toys display.
Yeah, I found it on Etsy, and I'm sure there's other variations on it. Something else I ordered off of Etsy, which is not as I've been looking for. Okay. I've been looking for the Laserdisc documentary on Jaws, the greatest documentary ever made.
I have it.
And some guy in a Jaws group was posting, it's like, hey, I've got these on Blu-ray. Okay, you can get the complete 95 Laserdisc making of featurette, the True Hollywood Story, and Jaws, the Inside Story. So I spent $10. I might have been 15. And I'm glad that I have it. I'm not supporting bootlegs, but I'm glad that I can watch it. But it's just the packaging is so hysterically awful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, It's 2025. We have the advent of AI at our fingertips. You couldn't make a sleeve a little bit better than that.
Well, I have to tell you, there's people that just don't know the difference. You think that they would, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know the difference between something good or something bad. Once they've created something, like I created this, it must be good. And you run into that all the time. And it's an aesthetic thing, and you can't really teach it. But maybe somebody did it themselves, and I mean, that's when it gets frustrating. That's one of the big things in the creative fields, when you're talking to people that have made something and they think it's great, and you don't want to burst their bubble, But now let me ask you something: is that the actual complete Laserdisc documentary?
Yeah, it's not the shortened one that appeared in 2004 DVD. This is the full.
So it's got the guy who played Quint's first mate in it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing ever. I ain't going, Mr. Quint. I ain't going. I ain't getting on that old barge or going after that mean old shark. I ain't go. One of the worst performances ever. And you're like, they actually shot that?
Yeah.
It's amazing, but I love it so much. And I don't think that's in the 2004 documentary.
No, they cut that up to like 90 minutes. They cut out a ton of stuff, which is why I had to get it. So two last goodies to show off. Thank you for mentioning Beyond My Space, which is also available as an LP for the soundtrack.
Wow.
Which I just had one printed up because I can't.
Why not?
Because why not? And then finally, last week or 2 weeks ago, you were kind enough to let me talk a little bit about my book that's coming out on May 25th. I showed you some artwork. It is now set for Amazon release, and I got a test copy printed.
Wow.
To check it out. And I know you know all about that. I've never had a book published ever. I did my House of Waffles book, but that was just a self-print thing that I shared with some people.
Yeah, but it's great.
Well, thank you. But to have this and know that, I have promotional videos, I'm going to be on podcasts, and I've got I actually had a piece of music composed for Midnight for the promotional video. It's just so much fun. I just love the fact that we can do this,
Yeah. But why not? I mean, that's the best thing, to keep doing. Just keep making stuff like this video that you made. It's great.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to seeing it tonight.
Oh, I'm going to play. Although I have to say, I can't believe you took your Mattel Eagle out in the snow. What's that about? How dare you?
When you're
How
8.
dare you?
Yeah.
Well, snow gives you an immediate alien planet. I understand.
Oh, I couldn't wait until when I got my Kenner Tauntaun for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I couldn't wait for the first snow. As soon as it started snowing, man, I'm all bundled up and I'm taking my Tauntauns out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a little hoth here, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. It made me, because I did that Kickstarter for that new version of that Eagle. I supported that Kickstarter, so
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of things. Their executive replicas keep claiming, and it's been years now. They keep claiming that they're going to put out their 6-scale pod from 2001, which would be the greatest thing ever. They do a good job with it if they ever make it.
Right.
They say they're gonna.
In the video, when I do a bit of a build up to when I first show off that Mattel Eagle, and for me, that is my equivalent of my attempt to do the Enterprise from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I just wanted to lovingly kind of warp around the ship and just show it off, and I couldn't afford 5 minutes, but it got a good 30 seconds. So there you go.
Wait till you see my friend Jeff Morris is, been making this documentary called The Eagle Obsession. Ooh. And it's the craziest shit. So he's made a documentary all about the Eagle. And it's amazing, to the point where he got Nick Tate, who played Alan Carter. He went to Pinewood Studios and had them build a full-size Eagle cockpit, got Nick Tate in a new astronaut, a Space 1999 astronaut suit, and put him in the Eagle cockpit. I mean, and he went around the world and filmed people that he found some guy in like the Netherlands who built this like 20-foot Eagle. It's unbelievable, this documentary, and it's beautifully shot. And he had all new, Tobias Richter created all new space effects, and he's like where the Guardian of Piri is. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And he's in post-production on it now. Wait do you see it?
Wasn't that a Kickstarter at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then he didn't make his goal, but he continued. He's done some other crowdfunding.
I think actually, I believe it wasn't that. I believe he just decided to suspend it and was financing it through other means.
Yeah, but he did do some Kickstarters to do additional effects. I will say this, worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything he's done, because the thing is, he wanted like $250,000.
Yeah.
And he didn't quite make that.
Okay.
But the thing looks like it cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like there's every, some people like they make a lot of money on Kickstarter, but the product doesn't reflect how much money they made. His thing looks like it cost him 10 times more.
Sure.
It's beautifully shot and beautifully produced. He even had in the opening credits, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but in the opening credits, they licensed Steve Miller's song "Fly Like an Eagle."
Oh, nice.
And he had a brand new version of it, kind of a trap remix version of it done with new singers. And he did a flash animation opening for the credits. It's awesome. The whole thing is awesome.
Yeah.
And if you like the Eagle, it's like porn for people that like the Space 1999 Eagle transporter. I mean, you just look at it salivating the whole time.
All right,
It's so
I'm gonna bring in
So good.
2001 Johnny Rob, because he has actually on a tight timeline. So let's go ahead and have him come in, and you should be able to join us now, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaving in about 15 minutes. We got to take 30 minutes to get to the theater. I'm going to go see Sinners with my brothers.
Nice. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I figured.
Is it a good theater? Do they have a good sound system?
Not something I ever took notice of, so it probably won't bother me none.
Well, you will. The music, there's a huge musical component to this movie that is, you're going to love it.
This is true. However, I grew up in Thailand watching films on suspect sites. So that's my film experience has always just been just taking in what I can see and then like reading about it later and then just kind of taking it all in that way. Now, Rob,
Okay,
I rewatched 2001 Space Odyssey for the first time. I watched it once when I was younger, much younger. And now I rewatched it for the first time on Max. And, I never really cared for the film just because how far before my time it is. People talk about it in Stanley Kubrick as the greatest ever. And it's something I never really connected with. The same way how I don't think I really connected with Ridley Scott as a director. And then I keep hearing people say 2001 is like Stanley Kubrick was trying to do this very visual, wanted to tell a very visual story and was using sci-fi just because that was what was popular at the time because of the space race. And I heard this theory because he says the aliens is just the surface level of the plot, but there's actually something deeper going on in the plot. Have you heard of that theory? Like what the answer to that is?
Well, there's many, but I don't know which particular one. There's a great book on the making of Kubrick's 2001, and they have a whole section where they publish the letters that he received from a lot of people offering their explanations on what it's about. So there has been many different explanations. So I don't know which one you're referring to directly.
So this is the only thing I've heard, and it made it interesting. It's part of the reason why I decided to rewatch it. And then I wanted to watch the film with Kirk Douglas and the sci-fi one with the alien that puts its brain its creator's brain in it. And then I wanted to watch Black Hole for the first time, like just kind of like this, something of a trifecta of sci-fi horror films.
Wait, which Kirk Douglas movie were you watching? What's the name of it?
Oh, it's a sci-fi film. He has the Charlie's Angels girl
Saturn
as his
III.
co-star.
Oh, Saturn 3.
Yes.
You watched
Yes.
2001 Saturn 3 and the Black Hole?
I want to. I'm starting
that.
with 2001.
Don't do that.
And then I'm moving on. No, I will do that, Rob, because this is my film experience. You can't take it from me.
No.
But all the same. I'm sorry. Okay. Moving on. The monolith is a film screen. That's the theory is what's going on beneath the surface of the plot is that the astronauts are actually breaking the fourth wall. What happens is the monolith appears before the apes, and that's actually the film-going audience seeing a movie for the first time. And then the scientists are the film theorists, and then the astronauts are the guys who finally break the fourth wall and realize, wait, it's just a movie. And they're finally free now to look at everything else. And part of the reason for this theory is because the monolith is in the shape of a movie theater screen from 1968.
Well, the monolith's dimensions 1 by 4 by 9 are significant. But I think that's people too far up their own ass, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, I think 2001 is a tone poem, and it was based on Clark's short story, The Sentinel, and then as they were developing the movie, he wrote the novel 2001 concurrently with the film being made.
Right.
And
The part of the theory goes into how Kubrick controlled what Clark was writing, and like some of the only changes were like in the book it's Saturn instead of Jupiter. And the production reason was because they couldn't get the rings of Saturn to look right. Because all the planets are being painted on glass. Because they hadn't actually gotten proper pictures yet of like what the Earth would look like and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But I think that when Stanley Kubrick was making his movie, he was not trying to make a fourth wall breaking. I don't think that was his
maybe
intent.
not. But when he says he wanted to make the ultimate visual film, it makes you think that there might be some sort of, like, if that's the language he keeps using to describe what's actually going on, it makes one suspect that he might be trying to make a film that's about making a movie in some way. That's the way they're interpreting it. I'm not saying that that's true.
No, I don't think that's true. I mean, I think that because Kubrick first and foremost made movies with novelists. If you look like Jim Thompson and his movie The Killing, and he was, I think Kubrick was a storyteller, and I don't think he was trying to make stories that were that oblique in a way. Like he had Nabokov help him make Lolita, and he adapted Eyes Wide Shut was based on Schnitzler's dream novel. And Full Metal Jacket has literary, The Shining, Barry Lyndon, William Makepeace Thackeray. I mean, I think Kubrick was literary minded more so than he was. Like Kubrick did say to people, he didn't really come right out and really talk much about what he thought 2001 was about. He loved hearing he would have loved to have heard that. That he would have loved to have somebody tell him that. And he's like, if that's what you think, then and who's to say that's not what it is? Maybe that's what somebody gets out of it.
If you're interested, because I've tried to find this the film, what's the word? Film critic, whatever, Rob Ager.
Yeah.
I've learned this from him. He's got multiple 2001 stuff. So he has several videos about it, and they're older videos too, like much older. And like he said in an interview recently, like an interview that was just a few months ago, where a guy said, so what's up with 2001 A Space Odyssey? So instead of saying that the monolith is just the fourth wall and the Enlightenment is just, it's just a movie, he says the real theme is when you go into cryosleep, you don't dream. So when man finally kills off the weapons, the tools, Hal is like the ape using the bone. When he finally turns Hal off, he goes through the Stargate, and then he's finally now allowed to dream. He's eating real meat instead of whatever that
See, but that you're turning
space.
that's turning the whole movie into literary illusion, and you're saying that the movie that you're watching is not really what's happening, and I think that actually diminishes the story that the things that Kubrick was trying to touch on, because it makes the viewer more important than the movie itself. You know, the viewers and the viewer's interpretation. Yeah,
the reason I say it depends on the movie is because, like, there's the Megalopolis. Coppola wanted the ending to be interactive with the audience. I think of it more as like just the director if this is true, if this interpretation of the film is true, Kubrick, like you were saying, Kubrick would like the interpretations, Kubrick trying to actually interact with the audience in some way.
But I think
in a non-intrusive way as well, because you still have that surface level narrative going on.
But I do think that Kubrick's movies are him interacting with the audience, and it's possible eventually to overthink something, and I think that diminishes his achievement in cinema. You know, to say that Kubrick doesn't have to hide. I don't think he would. If he wanted to make a movie that was what it was supposed to be, he would make that movie. You know, I don't think he was trying to hide anything from the audience. Now, people can impose those meanings on things, and that's fine. But I don't think that was Kubrick's intent. I don't think that because if he wanted to do that, he could have done that in a more obvious way. Whereas I think if the movie, you know, when it was made, Kubrick was actually interested in the universe and was interested in space travel and was interested in the future. And that's why he sought out Arthur C. Clarke, who, you know, was the father of the communications satellite and was one of the great science fiction writers of the day. And Kubrick was very much a reader. There's a story about the reason he found The Shining, that he was in his office and the door was closed, and his secretary would hear, like, every 10 or 15 minutes a thump on the wall where Kubrick would throw a book he was reading against the wall looking for something to adapt. And he couldn't find anything, and then all of a sudden the thumps stopped happening, and Kubrick started reading something that he was engrossed by, and it turns out it was The Shining. And Kubrick changed The Shining. He turned Stephen King's story into something else, something that it really wasn't, which is why King didn't like it very much. But I think Kubrick made that story what he wanted it to be, as opposed to what King wrote. So I don't think that Kubrick would ever try and hide meaning. But then again, people still think Kubrick faked the moon landings, even though you can now see the moon landings. With our current technology, you can see the landing sites. So
that's just a big screen in the sky, Rob. Come on, you know better than that.
Yeah, right. I was told somebody put a picture, and you can't tell if anybody is being funny anymore, but I was wearing my NASA flat Earth shirt, and somebody said, I'm on the John Campea show, and somebody said, I'm very disappointed in you. Everyone knows that space, the Earth is flat and space is fake.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Well, no, everybody should know we live in a simulation.
Yeah.
And the space is actually a simulation. Earth is still round in the simulation, but space doesn't really exist. And the simulation knows if we point the James Webb telescope, it knows what to do, and it knows how to adjust based on, because this James Webb telescope is also it's part of the simulation.
We're all just brains in jars, Rob.
Why do you think human beings have to sleep? Because the simulation isn't powerful enough. If everybody was awake at the same time, the simulation would have to then have the visible universe all ready to go. But when people are sleeping, a third, then it doesn't have to deal with the reality as much. So the simulation can save power. That's why human beings sleep for 8 hours a day. That was brilliant on the power, on the point of how when they decided to create that simulation
of the designers.
Yeah, or that might have not even been base reality. We might be 13, 14, 15, 100 levels down. So the people that created our simulation, they just didn't have the technology
themselves.
They were simulated, and they're the 99th people that were simulated.
Yeah.
So it's not, we're 99 simulation levels down from base reality, and we're the 100th. which I'm looking forward to, which means that way when I die, maybe my part of the simulation gets recycled.
You just appear in another server.
Yeah.
All right. Major Chai Chai has been patiently waiting here. Welcome, Major. Should be able to.
How's it going?
Welcome, Major Chai Chai.
All right. Cousin. Or should I say son?
Yeah, there you go. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Do you have a good birthday?
It was very uneventful. I really didn't do anything.
Okay.
I was just working on stuff. So, I'm trying to get all these perks finished and working on various projects. I interviewed Deborah Nadulman, who is the costume designer of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
So that's going to go
nice.
up on yeah. So I've just been inundated with all other
work.
kinds of work. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So
which is good.
you're a bad influence, Robert. I have to say that again.
But I wear that as a badge. Oh, speaking of this, you can't see the right side. I see that as a badge of honor.
Yeah. So I sent you a picture of this.
I know. Yes, you
saw
did.
it.
Now, is that the one that
So-
you'd found?
This is the one I made.
That's pretty cool.
Now, because and you asked me at the last members call, could I make it bigger? And
Yeah.
I said, no, I didn't think so. Then my brain went, sure you can. Sure you can. So my engineer brain was like, okay, if I get larger yarn, thicker yarn, and bigger needles, I can start. So I've been testing different yarns. So you got this one. And so this is just 5 rows. So 5 rows is about 1.5 inches here on the bottom.
Okay.
So now that this thicker yarn translates, see how much bigger that is?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, right?
That's pretty
Except-
good.
It's got holes in it. So if you fill it with something, you're gonna see the batting behind it.
But that'll just
So-
give it more surface detail.
True.
It's more dimensionality. It'll look like those are all the trenches, and
Yeah.
the lights. It'll look like lights.
So I tried another yarn that's a little bit more fuzzy. So again, that's at 5 rows. Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Then I tried a chenille. And so again, it's about the same size.
Wow.
Oh, this is 5 rows, right?
That's pretty
Man.
dope.
Wait. Gets better. I found a super bulky yarn. This is 5 rows.
Wow. How
So-
long would that? You couldn't make one that big.
Oh, now. Damn it, Rob. Now I have to prove you wrong.
But you'd have to stand on a ladder.
Maybe. I don't know.
How would you
So-
even finish something that big? Where are you going to put it?
I don't know.
That's no moon.
I mean, yeah. I'll launch it into space.
That's
I
no
don't know.
pillow.
So yeah, it's thick enough, and so if I put batting or the shredded memory foam, it wouldn't go through. The only problem is it puckers, so it's supposed to be flat, and so it'd have a point. But I mean, yeah, it would come up kind of up like this.
That's huge.
But now I'm tempted to just try it to see what would happen. I mean, this was 1 skein of yarn. I would need another 20 skeins.
How much would that cost?
I don't know. I think this was about $6. So this is $120 plus probably another $100 in filling. Plus
Now, how
some
much?
time.
How much work? How much in time does that represent?
This
How much? Yeah.
this worked up fairly quickly. So maybe this was about 30-45 minutes.
Oh, you got to do it then.
What do I get if I do it? Just the
You
bragging rights?
well, you should make a video documenting your progress,
Yes. Okay.
and then we can like auction it off for charity, or you can keep it.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Auction it off for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. But you have to make you got to just put a video on yourself, when you're doing and then occasionally look up and talk talk about where you're at and what problems are, and then if you just leave it recording, we can do a whole speeded up thing,
Okay.
you know, and make it like 10 times so you're like, brrr. But then we'll have you know, you have your comments within, and then have this giant thing, and then put it up there and auction it off for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Sure, we could do
And
that.
we have to include, of course, the truck and the shipping costs it's going to ship that thing. You put it in a truck.
The original.
Because I can't wait to see you up on a ladder, like putting it all once you have to close it up.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I have to figure it out. And I guess just use my phone to record everything.
Yeah, you can get a phone like a little tripod,
Okay.
and maybe get one of those just little microphones
Uh-huh.
that you can just clip on. They're not expensive,
Yeah.
you know. And just if you've got, and just record, and then dump the video to a drive,
Okay.
and just fill up the drive. That'd be hilarious. The thing's gonna be like 10 feet.
We'll see. We'll see.
That could be a Death Star. It could be a Death Star beanbag chair.
Yeah. And then, so let's see what else. I got a minute left.
But you know,
So I sent you an email about it, and you didn't read it, so I'm going to ask.
Not yet.
Yeah. It's about Sinners.
yeah.
Do you want me to hold off on that then, so you can read it, or you want me to ask? Go ahead.
Oh, do you? I was gonna read it. There's
Okay.
been all these letters I'm trying to get through, but Sinners is coming back in 70mm this week.
Yeah, I know. Not anywhere where I'm at, but you know, the question I had, and you could still read the letter, but
Yeah, I'm gonna still read the letter.
when I was watching the movie, there were times where the camera was panning and it felt distorted, and it kind of unsettled me. And I couldn't figure out if it was the format, or that was Kugler's intent, or I'm just crazy. And
I think it was probably a lens issue, because things distort. You know, the lens they were using can distort on the edges of the frame and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's intent there. That was definitely, because it is disconcerting, you know, and sometimes you don't know why is it disconcerting. So, because the format, you know, it's interesting, the format that they were using, which 2001 used, when the Cinerama Dome here in LA has a curved screen. And when you're watching on a curved screen, there's distortion. There's two things that happen on that curved screen. Sometimes, you know, there's distortion on the edges. And one of the problems they have is when the screen curves out, there's light, the light actually coming off the screen sometimes can diminish, because it's shining back on itself. It shines back across the screen. So sometimes that can be a problem. Of course, when they fitted I think it was before Force Awakens, they did a whole laser projection system in there that's amazing. Of course, it's been closed for 5 years, so no one would know that now. But yeah, so that's probably what you were responding to. So I would imagine.
Good to see you, Major Chai Chai. Hey, Rob, just a quick note here. I subscribe to Jeff Snyder's Insider Hollywood newsletter, the Insider. Did you see that the folks behind The Pope's Exorcist are
They want to do Near Dark.
No, they're doing a Wise Guy movie.
Oh yeah, that's what they said. They got Jonathan Banks on board,
and that Jonathan Banks is apparently on board. Yeah, wow.
We'll see if that happens. You know, they did a Wise Guy TV movie back in the 90s.
Oh, okay. So
Wise Guy is one of my favorite shows, but
such a great show.
It's such a great show. I mean, I just don't know if they do a movie. Like, I'd be curious to see a revival of the TV series. Yeah. With Jonathan Banks playing Frank McPike to bring him back. That's what they said. He's on board.
They're saying that it's supposed to be set in the same continuity, so he's just older, still playing that character, and I guess still working with undercover agents. So
I mean, that would be cool. But the whole thing about Wise Guys, it worked best in the TV format,
right?
You know, and the first season of that with the Ray Sharkey storyline and the
that's a great storyline.
Yeah, and also Kevin Spacey is as Mel and Susan Prophet.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was so good, and William Russ playing Buckwheat.
It was a great show.
He wasn't Buckwheat, but
I went to the university that I went to, Fordham. We were all psyched about that show because the character of Terranova's character was a Fordham graduate.
Oh, really?
In the series, so he would show up with Fordham sweatshirts from time to time. And
yeah, I watched that show in college too. I was totally obsessed.
Yes, totally.
Because when I went to college, I didn't watch like any TV.
Yeah.
Except that show.
Yeah, that was one of the few. And
yeah.
I remember that they did a whole thing where they invited the college president on set, and there's a picture of the college president with a Wise Guy jean jacket that they gave him.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny.
For me, it was only Wise Guy and Next Generation. That was it.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things I watched in college.
All right. Jeff Bingham is here. It's been a while since we've seen Jeff. Welcome.
What's
Jeff.
up, dude?
Good to see you.
Hello.
What's going on?
Not much. So I'm not gonna pester you about, trying to find a time to talk, but
I need to read your script again too, because it's been so long.
yeah. Well, anyway, I thought maybe I would tell you what I'm actually doing with it now. Maybe that might actually compel you to maybe carve out some time to talk.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I am I'm turning into a novel.
Oh, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, because I had reached a point where, because for the longest time I just treated it as like a fantasy side hobby thing and not anything I was going to do. I wasn't going to do anything beyond it, beyond writing the script. But I had reached a point where I want to turn fantasy into a reality in a feasible way.
Right.
Not just wait around and hope that I win a jackpot lottery,
Yeah. Well, and with a novel, you can self-publish it. There's much more things you can do with it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go into any specifics about the story. We'll save that for the conversation that we're never going to have. But one of the things that I noticed is, going back to something you said a number of times, but how it's important for writers not just to have pride in their work, but to also not be afraid to be self-critical.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I had written the script just for fun, I was self-critical, but only to an extent because it was just a little side thing, not to necessarily go anything beyond writing the script. But now that I'm actually looking to make some headway with what I've done, my instinct to be self-critical has gone up significantly. So to the point where I'm actually sort of reassessing a lot of different things and, character arcs and whatnot. And especially now that I'm writing a novel out of it, like I'm going through scene by scene and just like looking at it again line by line, it's like, oh, I should change a lot of the dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll admit something to you. I was playing with this this book writing AI program, and because I've always wanted to write a novel, and I wanted to see what. So I prompted. It was a pretty long prompted thing, but this AI program breaks your book down into chapters and scenes, and I thought that, I could do this. I'd probably put in over the course of. I've been playing with it for like 3 weeks. And using this AI program, I realized it will take me as long to use this AI program to get the book where I want it to be than if there are people, I didn't realize this. It'll just generate a book for you. Like I literally I went on this kind of journey where you could probably take your screenplay and it would vomit out an entire first draft. This AI program, I prompted it and gave me a 300-page book right away based on my idea. The problem was it was in the first person. I'm like, I didn't tell it to do one way or another. I just gave it an idea. and it generated this book in the first person that was truly awful. Like it was really, really bad. However, then you have all these programs in and you can start to micromanage it. And it's always best, like when you write a screenplay, you just vomit out whatever you write the scenes and just keep going. And the important thing is to get to the end. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not, because then you have something to work from and you can go back and rewrite it and do what you want, but you have something to work off of. And that's what I realized, that how the AI program could be helpful. And you could have an AI program do that with your screenplay. You could input your screenplay and just turn this into into prose, and then you have something to work off of. And it's still your original idea that you put on paper. But then you can go back through and it's a way to organize it. I mean, that was one of the great things about this program. I forget what the program is called. Scripto or something like that. But there's enough tools in there that you can literally outline it and you can micromanage it all the way down into almost a line by line thing, and it's interesting that what I really realized though is it doesn't give you a style. Like when you read Stephen King, you're reading Stephen King. When I'm reading like Donna Tartt, I know I'm reading Donna Tartt or Bret Easton Ellis or something, or Jay McInerney, or or William Makepeace Thackeray. I mean, and that's what AI doesn't do. It doesn't give you a style. And that's the important thing, I think, when you're writing a novel.
Yeah, I'm not using AI. I mean, I'm obviously just using my script as a reference.
Sure.
Obviously. And yeah, I don't think my story would work in first person because it's a two-person
my story doesn't work in first person either, but that's what
yeah. So what's in it? So yeah, I can't decide how. I wrote the script as allegedly a more mainstream movie, but I'm kind of debating on how graphic to be with certain elements within the book itself, since books of that genre can be graphic. So I've been reading a couple of books on within the genre to sort of give me an idea of like, how graphic I should be, that sort of thing. And
I would go all the way. I mean, that was the books I loved to read when I was younger, the most graphic books possible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why not? Why just do it?
Yeah. Plus, I've also been talking to certain experts in fields of study to consult with about how to whether certain things are feasible or not. So, for the most part, what I actually talked to, for the most part, is feasible in terms of how I already wrote it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important thing is get it done.
Yeah, try to be as realistic as possible within certain aspects, but not necessarily like that mix of, because the genre I'm working in obviously tends to be more elevated than grounded, but I want to try and be plausible with certain aspects. So
yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I getting back into writing prose, because I used to write for a magazine and stuff. Those Lionsgate articles got me writing again, and I realized I was kind of really rusty at it. Like it was hard for me to put my thoughts down because all I've been doing is talking. And then I started writing, and it was hard. Like it was hard for me to, again, my sense of style and all that, writing prose is because I realized, I'm like, when was the last time I even wrote something that wasn't in some like screenplay form? And it's a whole different discipline, and I really haven't been enjoying it. But the reason I was playing with a book program was just because I wanted to see how does this work? Like what is this? I wanted to have more of a greater, because rightly or wrongly, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And for the rest of our lives, we're going to have to understand how to use it and how can you use it as a tool. And I wanted to sort of learn that. So it got me thinking about both writing and AI, and can you do it and still make it your own? So it's a good tool. I mean, it's a good tool. It helps you organize things very quickly, and that I liked. So, but yeah, get in on that. Right. I wouldn't worry. I mean, write what you want to write. Don't limit yourself on how graphic it is or how. Write exactly what you want. Don't second guess the work. A lot of people do that. You second guess your work, and it. Don't worry about that. Write it the way you want to write it, and don't worry about whether it's too graphic or not. Make it as graphic as you want. That. I mean, you don't want to write something. Here's the funny thing about like I can tell you the hottest, because it's an erotic, it's an erotic story. The hottest sex scene I've ever read in my entire life was in Bret Easton Ellis's book Glamorama, and it was a threesome in a shower, and it was just and it goes on for pages. And most of this, I haven't read a lot of romance novels, so all the sex scenes I've written I haven't written any. All the sex.
Try.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did in screenplay form, and we shot them.
Yeah,
but it was the problem that you have both in movies and not in porn, but both in movies and books. The problem with sex scenes or erotic scenes in general is they tend to bring the narrative to a halt. And so, you're reading the story, and then suddenly, okay, the main characters are going to be involved and have a sex scene. Unless the sex scene has something to do with the characters themselves, like in the way they're having sex or where they're having sex or how they're having sex, it has to have more meaning than beyond just a sex scene, because then a sex scene becomes superfluous and it doesn't have any meaning. Whereas, like, I think about like Basic Instinct, for instance, which I love. Every time there's a sex scene in there, in the first sex scene, which opens the movie, the woman murders the man she's having sex with. And then when she has sex with Nick Curran, with Michael Douglas's character, you wonder if she is going to try and kill him. And then when he has sex with Jean Triplethorn, he's off his head, and it becomes something where it's kind of violent and rapey, and it speaks to his state of mind. So those work, and those have something to say about what's going on. But that's the only thing when, I think when it comes to erotic cinema, there's got to be meaning behind it. There's got to be something more going on.
Yeah, and that was definitely my intention, Brian, is give meaning to it. But at the same time, sort of going back to what you were saying, because I wrote it as a screenplay, and that is kind of my priority. The feeling of trying to get into a novel form, that is a little daunting to me, because at the moment it does kind of feel technical, like kind of just saying where the story is going, even though I do have some idea of the erotic elements of it.
Sure.
I do feel like I'm kind of just writing it and just going through, because I prioritize the story as a screenplay, not as a novel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, Max Allan Collins, who wrote True Noir, he did a lot of movie novelizations, and he worked from screenplays and expanded them into novels and did some really interesting stuff. He's done a lot of movie novelizations of movies that we all like. And, he's done some fairly extensive expanding on famous works. So, yeah, check into that.
All right.
But it's good you do it.
Thanks for joining us, Jeff. And we've got Krizik coming up next. Rob, I'm going to get you started with Krizik. I need to step away for a few minutes, but I should be back just as an FYI. So, Krizik, you should be able to join us now. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Wow, look, it's Castle Grayskull. Hello. It's lovely to see new faces here.
But Krizik is not unmuting. Can you see me?
Oh, he's unmuted now, I think.
He's unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. I was going by I keep on trying to figure out what is the order, and I saw that Bob and Odyssey and a few others were ahead of me, so I thought I wasn't up yet.
It's not always showing the same way in your screen as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you for the great birthday present.
Happy birthday.
the Crusher Joe Laserdisc and model kit. I have to tell you, so
Yeah.
we in Seattle when I was growing up in Bellevue, the city across the lake, there was a model kit store that I used to go to all the time, and they started to get in the 80s, the early 80s, Japanese model kits, like early Gundam kits and kits from various animated shows.
Yep.
And the first, I built the Minerva from Crusher Joe.
I got that too. Yeah.
And I that was one of the first. It was the first anime model that I spent a long time on. It was totally painted up. I did panel lines. I weathered it. It looked great, and it was the first model I made that I felt was worthy of putting into their model display case.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in there, and everyone thought it was the Firefox. And I'm like, this doesn't look anything like the Firefox.
Well, now you know true fans versus the posers, right?
Well, no one had seen Crusher. No, and to be honest, I hadn't seen Crusher Joe when I bought that model. I just thought it was badass.
Yeah.
And so, because it kind of looked like a cross between the Firefox and a space shuttle.
Yeah.
So,
well,
and I love the blue and the white color scheme, and I love the venting on it and the engines, and then I bought I sold it, but I bought an Aoshima. They put out a beautiful. This was like 15 years ago. They put out a beautiful die-cast model, a die-cast of the Minerva. And it was awesome. And
it is super expensive now.
Yeah, I want it. I want to get it. It's funny, since I hadn't thought about getting that diecast thing again until you sent me that package, and I was like, oh, I need to go back and get that diecast Minerva.
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you this. I sent it to you for multiple reasons. One, you are a Gunpla dude. And you know that the guy that created this is the same person that created the original Gundam. So that's why I needed you to have this, and my studio needed you to have this, because we, for our studio, our art style for the game we're working on uses, I can never pronounce his name correctly, Yoshikawa's art style, as well as Buichi Terasawa's art style for what we're doing for our indie game. So, which is very hard to do because it's all hand-drawn, no AI, none of that stuff. Very few people left that actually can do this level of work. I'm showing it on my screen right now for anyone that's curious as to what this art style looks like from back then. All hand drawn, nothing done on CG or anything like that.
No.
And it's something that true fans like yourself deserve. And I want to bring that back for a lot of young kids. That I'll have folks that are at my studio that they didn't grow up with this. It's way after their time.
Yeah.
So they'll see it and be like, oh wow, when did that come out? And I'm like, if you only knew.
No, did you see what they announced this week as far as Gunpla goes?
Yes, that's why I knew I couldn't get that for you, because that's not going to be till 2026. So you'll need to wait.
January, because that's my favorite. That's my favorite mobile suit.
I know.
And I'll tell you something else. So this is so lame. I can't believe I'm going to admit this. So I went in on my birthday. I went and bought myself lunch at this restaurant I like to go to because it's next to a hobby shop.
Yeah.
And I needed to get some panel paint because I've been working on my Yamato and stuff, and I need to get some weathering stuff. So I go into this hobby shop, and as I'm walking out, they have a case. They have a case next to the door, and I looked down, and it said RX-93. It was the outside case of what was inside, and Bandai put out a metal. It's like a metal grade. I forget that it was it's like a perfect grade version, but it was all die cast,
right?
Of the RX-93, and you had to buy the funnels separately, and it came with an Amaro. It came with 3 other things that you had to buy.
That's right. Yes.
And I looked down, and I'm like, it was all sealed up, and I tried to get one. It was gone. Like you couldn't.
No, people snapped them up.
And I looked down, and there it was in this box. This was on my birthday. It was 2 days ago.
Oh shit.
And I looked down, and I literally said, holy shit. And I literally exclaimed that in the store. And this woman, the proprietor, she comes over and she goes, do you know what this is? And because they have lots of they do a Gundam competition once a year there.
Yes.
And I go, I know exactly what this is. And I'm like, why is this here? Like, is this on consignment? I'm like, because you know that's not a kit. I go, I know exactly what it is. And I'm like, how much is it? And she goes, well, we're selling it. We're only selling all 4. You have to buy the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I know. And she goes, it's $3,000. I go, $3,000? That's all?
That's a steal.
And I was just like, I go, do you take, can I put some money down?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, no, we don't, we're a hobby store. We don't do that.
Yeah,
and I go, how long has it been here? How long has this thing been sitting here? She goes, well, it's been here for like a month, but nobody really knows what it is. And I'm like, I was sitting there going, between mortgage and everything, I don't, I'm
were trying to make the math work, weren't you?
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what can I do? Like, how can I, what can I sell? Because that's the thing, collectors, what can I sell? But I don't have things that people necessarily want. There's nothing. I could sell one of my Yamato models, but then again, it's like, and I've heard this thing isn't the greatest thing in the world. Like, the articulation is kind of a big pain in the ass.
You're getting it more for the nostalgia and for the look of it rather than the actual functionality of it.
Yeah, but it's fucking awesome. And I mean, with all the funnels, and I'm just looking at this going, but of course, it is I saw this thing in the same week. Like, somebody probably knew the Perfect Grade Unleashed is coming out.
Yep.
So the value of this thing is destroyed because anybody, the model, the Perfect Grade Unleashed is going to be better anyway, and it'll be fraction of it'll be $300. So this thing is 10 times more than the Perfect Grade Unleashed will be.
Well, like, everybody in the chat right now is giving you ideas as how you can raise the money real quick on specs. So some people say Uber Eats, some people say Moonlight.
I owe people too much money. I owe people very close to all of you too much money, and I could not justify. I mean, I could not. It's one of those things where I bring it home, and Elizabeth, it would be great because she'll never know. I just go, it's just a model.
Mm. Well, look,
she doesn't know.
Well, hey. Rob, just so that you know, you and I both watched Star 80, and Castle Grayskull says, stripping is always an option.
Yeah, not for me though. I mean, I'd have to get in shape, before I did all that. Stripping's always, it's my YouTube channel should be much more profitable than it is if I made more shorts.
I have more production value when I talk to you than you do. Come on now.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
It's true. Well, I mean, I do what I can, but that's the thing. I'm just one guy. I don't have editors working for me, and I'm doing I save all my other stuff for what
I have the ghosts of all of my animation leads yelling in the back of my head, like, "Why are you doing this off model? Get back on model. What's going on there?"
Yeah. But I looked at it and I was like, what I was more curious about is how did they get it?
Mm-hmm.
I said, did somebody put it on? Like, how did you as a hobby store get this thing that is very difficult to acquire?
I mean, it could have just been sitting in someone's lot. I mean, that's happened a lot, at least in the Northeast. I can't speak for the West Coast, but for the Northeast, sometimes there's estate sales and things just sort of just appear, and then they sit in a hobby shop or in a old bookstore. I found tons of old mangaka from like the 80s, like the big Sears catalog style books, and they were just sitting there. The entire video AI Girl compendium was just sitting there, just waiting to be picked up by somebody for like $5.
Yeah. And they know what they have, and I'm sure. And also, I mean, at a hobby store, people just build. And to be fair, that Perfect Grade Unleashed model looks amazing.
It is absolutely brilliant. But I want to say happy birthday so much to you, and I hope you do have a Laserdisc player for the other thing.
And it works.
Good.
My Laserdisc player works.
I thought it did. I just wanted to make sure it did. Because if you didn't, we'd have to send you out one, I guess.
But now I've got to get that Aoshima Minerva again, that die-cast Minerva. Which, by the way, that die-cast Minerva was pretty much exactly the same size as the kit, the model kit. And there is another, I don't know how big it is, but it's a much better kit. There is a kit of the Minerva that exists that I think was made. I don't know if it's a I have to look it up because I looked it up when, you know, I open up your package and it looks great and it's like $60 and I don't know who made it.
If you so I can do you a favor. I know I've taken up a lot of other people's time, but if you can just you got my contact info, shoot me the thing that you want and I will get you a better price than that through my contacts.
Well, it's funny because there's a couple. There's it's a Hasegawa kit. Well, there's
yeah,
Hasegawa.
I know it's a Hasegawa kit. That's what I'm saying. I got it.
But that's not the kit. That's okay. It is the Hasegawa kit. Yeah,
I got it, guy.
It's and it's not hard to get, and it's 41,000 yen. So, but it's great kit. It's got great decal sheets. Very, very cool.
Cool.
So yeah, if you know anybody that can get that.
Oh no, I do.
It's pretty dope because it's got the guns on the top and that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's because you made me want something that Elizabeth's like, oh, you're gonna get another model you're not gonna build. I'm like, no, I'll build it one day. I mean, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, I don't know if so I bought this. I bought this. This is the kit of the Natural Selection. This is a Chinese kit. This is from the 3-Body Problem. The second book, The Dark Forest. And it's like no one in America knows what this is. It's like I got one from my friend Jeff Bond. It's like no one's gonna know. So when I die and kick off, people are gonna be like, "What is this? Why do you have this?" That's half the stuff that's in here. No one knows what it is. So there you go.
Good to see you, Krizik. I'm back here, Rob. So I'll bring in Bob next. We've got Bob Littlepage. Bob, you should be able to join us now. Welcome.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got Eurovision on the second screen over here. And actually taking extra time there made me watch the UK edition, UK entry. So, hello.
Yes. Oh, you're. Oh,
hello.
Yeah. No,
there we
can
go.
hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The time it took there, I managed to watch all the UK edition, UK entry on Eurovision over here. So,
are you watching? Is the Eurovision finals on?
Yeah, the finals on right now. The UK just did.
Go Israel!
Israel did very good. UK entry. Remember Monday? They did pretty damn good too. So,
but this is the finals, right?
This is the final. This is the grand final.
It's the grand finale. So it's Israel. It's the UK. Was it Sweden?
I haven't seen Sweden. I think they're in it. There's quite a bit of entries. I don't know who's up now. I think Spain did pretty good. But
yeah. We don't.
I've already had to. Right in the block a couple
out.
of entries. Oh, they shouldn't be in there. Block. Okay,
It's true.
Yeah. I was gonna have Kermit sing "Happy Birthday," but I was thinking, okay.
That's okay.
Did you get the Weird Al video I sent you on Facebook?
I haven't looked at it. Did you send it to me as a message?
As a message on Facebook, yeah.
Huh. I've gotten so many messages on Facebook because your birthday. It's been in it. I haven't gotten through even half of them yet. So
I could dig it up, but I could dig it up, but I'd probably destroy the monetization for today. But
oh yeah, I'm always having my monetization destroyed.
Okay, Austria didn't. Yeah, I posted the blooper, the first three, the main 3 blooper reels from Star Trek. The second one got nailed because the theme music is played in there.
Yeah, they're
There's
vicious.
a passage in the middle where they play the entire theme. That's again, I've had to put in the big thing. None of this footage is copyrighted.
Oh yeah,
they only copyrighted the aired footage. All the outtakes, no, it's not copyrighted. Kind of an oversight on their part. But
yeah,
it's like they did the music, however, is copyrighted. So the second season thing, which has got like 2,000 views, that got nailed. The other two, fine.
Yeah, no, the you got to be careful. They go after everything.
Yeah.
So
that's why I figured it's like, no, you can't do that. This is not copyrighted. Fuck you. But the
yeah,
music
no,
is, fuck you do.
no, it's true. Yeah, I read they're doing a new Star Trek series called Star Trek Scouts. That's going to be a new kids show or something.
I don't know.
It's animated.
Looking like, who knows? Because Prodigy apparently is not coming back, which is,
No.
Too bad on one spec, but it's like they kind of hooked in with the Utopia Planitia mask. No, that hooks into Discovery, and they just lost it at that point.
Yeah, Star Trek Central was reporting on it.
Yeah.
Star Trek Starfleet Scouts is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's probably an idea they're floating around there, see if they get anything, but
yeah, it's supposed to be like the Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to development though until they finalize the deal finally.
The new Star Trek show is going to focus on 3 8 to 9-year-old friends as they go to school on an Earth-like planet, and the series will follow their adventures as they train to become future Starfleet explorers. Great.
Okay, we talking kind of a Star Trek version of the Boy Scouts here, or what?
I guess so. You know what Star Trek needs? Andor. That's what Star Trek needs. It needs.
That's what I'm hearing. I've been hearing like even hard cuts that this is actually pretty good. Okay, I think I'm going to start watching it now. Even though I've also heard the accusation that they pretty much ripped off the plot from Les Mis. Like, but hey,
that's you know what I think that's too.
Pretty good story to rip though. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just an easy thing to say. I disagree with that.
It's not a bad plot to rip from. So you got a lot there to work with. So
yeah,
okay,
But I think it's better than that.
Yeah, I think at this point it's like Tawny Newsom's sitcom idea. It's like
yeah, let's
yeah, I've heard more of it though. It's like, okay, it's on an outpost and it's like probably gonna Mariner in there as a character. So okay, it's not main. It's off to the sides. It's trying to set up some kind of outpost. So it's workable. It sounds workable. And Tom, it's like the back of her hand. So like
yeah,
I'll trust her to a point. But we need a serious, proper mainline Star Trek show to balance it all out.
We do. I just don't. I'm dubious as if we're ever going to get one. Certainly.
Well, I said it's like when I said way back when. It's like the problem with having Lower Decks as like the only proper Star Trek show out there is like having McHale's Navy as the only World War II show out there. You don't have it countered with Combat and other shows, or Rat Patrol. So bounce. No, the war is not a laughing matter. It's like you have fun, but it's like but other stuff too. When the only one you got is a sitcom, it's unbalanced. The serious shows is total crap. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But
I think I still want a Cerritos. Okay. And I told McMahon I got dibs on the USS Victorville. Okay.
I just can't. The Cerritos design. I'm not with it.
It's more fleshed out than the Discovery. That's for damn sure.
Well, yeah.
And they did put some thought into it. It's like the big thing is like so that's where you want to toast them. You're lucky in there, and it's got a warp core the size of the power of Starbase because you're going to be towing some big stuff. So they did think these things out. This is Mike McMahon's big thing. No, this is not a parody. This is a proper Star Trek show, just with some comedy bits. Okay? And I think he told the writers, no, we're going to do this is going to be a proper mainline canon Star Trek show. We're going to take this seriously to a point. Okay, Latvia is up next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Who knows if we're ever going to get new Star Trek? I mean, we're getting Starfleet Academy, and we're Strange New Worlds. The more I see of it, the more awful it looks.
I have seen 2 episodes. The first one and the crossover with Lower Decks. That was it.
Yeah, it's this 3rd season just looks ridiculous. And I'm
not that they had me in the first place, but they definitely lost me with that. Everyone turns Vulcans. Do you guys not know anything about Vulcans?
no, they do not.
No,
No, they don't. So
I saw the Trek Culture interview with Melinda Snodgrass, and she only watched first season of Picard because they're ripping off your Measure of a Man story. And it's like, at least the mention, guys,
Oh
you
yeah,
couldn't even get the guy who played Mac. He's still around and kicking. Come on.
They're shamelessly stealing and not crediting anyone, and it's really bad because they think they don't have to. But the thing is, it's
gonna be a class action grievance at the Writers Guild because they're putting off so many writers.
Yeah, it's not good.
If
Not
Carl
good.
Nelson were around, they'd need to firebomb the studio.
Yep.
Just on general principles.
Yeah, it's not good. Well, listen, man, it's always good to see you.
All right.
Yeah.
Take
Well,
care,
we'll
Bob.
see you.
Good to see you.
And I still got to finish that damn model. Okay.
Yeah, you need to do it. And Modesty is up next.
We've got money, but Rob, before we go to Modesty, let's read a couple of super chats. People have been wishing you
sure.
happy birthdays. Let's just go ahead and do that quickly here. Pot Racing Palpatine wishes you a happy birthday with $1.99 pounds.
Well, thank you for that.
Says happy birthday, Rob, celebrating by watching Gore. G-O-R, Gore. That's an old. That's a movie, like a Conan type.
John Norman's
Yes,
Gore.
Gore. I remember Gore.
Yeah, Gore was the book the books that our parents, if they knew what we were reading, they would have been pissed.
And then we've got Anti-Derivative Jill with a $20 super chat. Thank you.
Oh,
so
that's
much.
very sweet of her.
Happy birthday weekend, Rob. I hope you found time to have fun. If not, that should be your next priority. I am enjoying a rewatch of The Twilight Zone. I've always loved it, but now I am getting to know it even better.
Yeah, I mean, The Twilight Zone's one of my favorite things in the world. And those new CBS transfers are insane. It's like watching a whole different new show.
And
Incredible.
Anti-Derivative Jill follows up with yet another a $10 super chat saying, we can't get a real Star Trek show, so they're going to make a sitcom. No, New Trek doesn't deserve that. Voyager is the only Star Trek sitcom that I accept.
Well, I that's funny. The problem is they can't, the writers, and clearly you see this in the trailer for the upcoming season. I mean, when Strange New Worlds is now ripping off Black Mirror's Star Trek ripoff, which is actually pretty good. The USS Callister, the Black Mirror second episode was actually really pretty good. It was an actually legitimate Star Trek story, but the people that write Star Trek don't know how to write it. Well, they can't. They don't take it seriously enough.
They're doing a Star Trek series that knows it's a Star Trek series.
Yes, that's exactly right.
What it is. It's the characters in the show are aware of the kind of the type of show that they're in, and so they're just pandering to the history and kind of playing with it rather than just telling original stories set in the world. That's what it's become. It's a self-referential exercise, even more so, I think, now than at least Lower Decks set itself up that way. It was a
right
parody that was supposed to kind of play with the idea of, yeah, we're making fun of the lore, but this is what the mainstream show is now becoming, is just as much a self-referential show about the Star Trek as a property. It's not about telling stories in the Star Trek universe.
No, not as a matter of fact, they I don't think they're capable of doing it.
Yeah,
they can't take the universe seriously, and it's a chore to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so indicative of the level of most writing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was so great to see somebody like a Tony Gilroy, who's an Academy Award nominated director and screenwriter, use the Star Trek universe to tell a legitimate story of something he was obsessed with his whole life.
Yeah. Star Wars, the Star Wars universe. We wish he was using the Star Trek universe, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Did I say Star Trek?
Yeah,
the Star. Yeah.
All right, Modesty Maltese is coming up next. Welcome, Modesty. You should be able to join us now.
I am here until you mute me again. There is a little sneaky peek on Eurovision. Netherlands is singing a song "C'est la vie" about his mom. Before that, there were swamp people from Latvia. It's as weird as it gets. It's always weird. Well, happy birthday, Rob.
We miss out. We miss out on all this fun stuff. We don't get football the way you get it in Europe, and we don't get the Eurovision Song Contest, which I don't.
But UK always gets, or almost always gets, nul point, 0 points. Whatever you send, it's going to be nul point. And that's the best part of the Eurovision is voting, because that becomes really fun. And
Does everybody get to vote?
Everybody votes. All countries vote. 50 countries are voting. It's endless. I'm going to the party. I'm supposed to be there, but I'm here to wish you a happy birthday. But, everybody arrives for the voting, because songs are usually crap. You have 3 songs that are worth something. Everything else is awful, and everything is awful, and everything is kitsch and camp. But the vote, that is what we all want to see. And then people bet and then comment, and there are snide comments happening throughout. And Graham Norton, who is presenting Eurovision for the BBC.
I love Graham Norton. My dream is to be on his show one day.
He is really good because he really knows about these people who are singing, but he keeps this kind of cynical, almost Brechtian distance from what's going on. And yes, it's very camp, but it's sometimes too much. So you miss swamp people. I don't know if these ladies from Latvia actually had sperms on their costume, or it was just, I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, I just wanted to use my 5 minutes to briefly discuss, and I do not believe the words are coming out of my mouth, the fact that I agree with John Campia.
About what?
About the trailer. And I'll explain why. I'll try to squeeze everything in 4.5 minutes now. So actually, Andor and that trailer have something in common, and that is fascism or Nazism.
Yes.
And interpretation of fascism today. So it's with Andor, we had this wonderfully depicted couple, my favorite character, Cyril, and his psychotic girlfriend. But these are the people, it's actually genius. You have these people, I was just doing my duty.
Sure.
And Cyril reminded me of what Tarantino, I would say, very sneakily explained to Christoph Waltz when he was playing Colonel Landa in Inglourious Bastards. He actually explained to that Austrian actor that he's playing a detective.
Yes.
And he believed him. And that's how he approached the role. And it's kind of very sad to listen to him explaining that he was playing a detective. He is Cyril.
Right. Yes, exactly.
He is Cyril. He doesn't understand that it's evil, pure evil. But then Cyril, unlike Christoph Waltz, actually does understand that it's evil. And I think that's the best moment in the whole show, that he understands that what he's doing is evil, completely evil. And I marked Cyril as a defector to the good side from day one.
I think he would have gotten there eventually if he didn't.
He did go there as much as Darth Vader got there. he realized what happened, and he realized and tried to rectify. He was too powerless. So yes, that depiction of fascism is very prominent in Tony Gilroy's, and I love how deep he goes, how nuanced he is. But Superman is always dull to many people. You were reading this article, and the woman mentioned Nietzsche.
Right.
Nietzsche was abused or used, or maybe we don't know how much Nietzsche was in line with Hitler, because allegedly his work was edited by his sister, who was a staunch Nazi. And we have this myth that we don't know if he would have approved of Hitler or not.
Right.
And therefore, he is not cancelled, Nietzsche. But Nietzsche is kind of threading a very thin line. And when you read Nietzsche and this whole idea of Übermensch, which was abused by the Nazi so much, it's very easy to think of Superman as that.
Yeah.
As Übermensch. And then you are also threading a very dangerous line. And I love this interview scene because Lois Lane is his checks and balances, and he cannot be a Nazi because she is telling him, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't have the approval, blah, blah, blah. And he is pushing back, but he has checks and balances. This is very important. And I think James Gunn made a genius move there. And also the fact that he has a dog, and the trailer kind of ends with, you have a dog.
Right.
Or he has a dog. That humanized, you said, oh, he is not human. But he went native, he grew up with humans. And also that's humanizing Übermensch. He is not that machine, know.
Look, I agree with that.
So I think these.
No, you can keep going, but I also think like we're gonna see in this movie the Maxwell Lord has a Justice League that is bought and paid for. You see Green Lantern and Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific. They're all part of his Justice League International that Maxwell Lord put together that are kind of Nazi superheroes, the same way the Authority is, and they're all going to be part of this movie as well. So I think you're right about that, but I still think that what I didn't like about I just thought it was more of a bad trailer from a marketing perspective. Like if I was having been somebody that's made trailers, I thought that trailer, because they're just recycling a lot of the same footage. What that trailer did not do,
as they always do.
That didn't used to be. It used to be that they would give you a little bit more, and they would. The thing that I thought this trailer didn't do was it didn't provide anything new. You all you got was like the same platitudes you heard from Pa Kent in every Superman story, and
I think it provided that interview, and that is new. And
yeah, the interview was new, but they should have used what I would have done is use 3 bits from it. And if you had taken and shown that interview and made that the backbone of your trailer and started with that, returned to it in the middle, and then done at the end and come back to that.
I think they want to show as little as possible.
They do. They want to show, and if I just thought it felt unbalanced to me as a trailer.
I agree on editing point. It could have been edited better, but I just want to say I don't want to take much of everybody's time, but I want to mention something nobody ever mentions, and that is Rachel Brosnahan. I don't care about Superman. I wouldn't have watched Superman at all. Because I watched Superman original, I was never interested in Superman as a comic book. It just nothing. Zzz. And Lois Lane, also boring. And the fact that that they cast her, Mrs. Maisel, that's actually telling you what the tone of humor is going to be. Rachel Brosnahan is great in balancing humor and non-humor. So I love that James Gunn has sent this clear message just by casting her. What is going to happen? So it's not going to be Thor, Love and Thunder, you know.
No, which is near unwatchable.
Yeah. But, you know, and I like her as Lois Lane. I think she will portray, let's say, Lois Lane from the 70s rather than from the 40s.
Well, yeah, and what they did too, and a lot of people forget this, is that James Gunn did what were called chemistry tests, where before he cast the actors, he put the actors together, and he was mixing and matching the people that were up for the parts. So that relationship, I think that the performances in this film are going to be tremendous. And I think casting Rachel Brosnahan because I think she's a very gifted actress. And like you said, she knows how to, she's a true consummate actress, where a lot of actors don't have what she has.
Yeah, but also from the marketing point of view, it's great because people like me with zero interest in Superman. Miss Maisel is in this.
Yes.
Okay, then. I'm watching this.
Yeah,
So
100%.
A great move, great casting, a great marketing move as well.
I totally agree with you. And I'm excited for this movie, and we're going to get it in less than 2 months.
I'm excited for Crypto. I in every scene. I just love dogs.
Well, wait till you see. They show this at CinemaCon, and I've spoken about this before, but there was an additional scene that we saw with Crypto that's hilarious, and he's completely destroyed the inside of the Fortress of Solitude, made it just a gigantic mess. And Superman, the robots are like, look, we if you want to get rid of him, it's okay with us. We won't, because they have to clean up, and Superman like disciplines Crypto, and he's like, oh, and then Superman leaves, and it's a great scene. And I can't wait to see this movie. It's one of my most eagerly awaited movies of the year, and I think it's going to be something really special. I really do.
Anyway, I hope it is, and I don't want to take anybody's time. I took too much time already, and Roberto hates me because he can't.
How can anybody hate you, Modesty?
Yeah, nobody can hate you.
Nobody could hate you. No,
anyway,
of course not.
Anyway, no, too much time. Bye, guys.
Great
and
to see you, Modesty.
Watching Eurovision, I will be on chat with my comments on who's doing what. Currently, there is a whirlpool and some cavemen happening there.
Is this on YouTube?
No, it's selling.
It's streaming, but I don't know how to see it here in the US. The videos that I tried to watch of it,
and the singer looks like Catherine Hahn.
If you go on,
it's happening.
If you go on the actual Eurovision website and click on the links, it's like region blocked to us here, but there's got to be someone somewhere. So, oh, look at that! Stubble is now saying that I had.
You can watch the entries on YouTube separately.
Separately, yeah.
The whole deal of ridiculousness. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can do it tomorrow when they post one by one final songs.
Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's poison. Bye, guys.
Bye, Modesty. Great to see you.
Always a pleasure.
And Modesty, you started a trend now. Everybody in the chat here is saying that I hate everybody, and that's not true. I love it.
I love everybody too.
And Rob, this brings us not only to our end of our streaming to YouTube, but it's a reminder to me, Rob, that the first time we did this member chat was your birthday 6 years ago.
Really?
It was during the pandemic. It was in 2019, and it was your birthday, and we did a very long kind of all-day birthday stream, and we had a ton of people there. I don't know if you remember. There was even one of our members who's on a ferry boat up in Seattle, and
Yeah, that's Brad Brickley, Captain Brad.
Yeah. So that was so this is just
Was that a member chat or just a birthday stream?
We did it was kind of like the beginning of the whole member chat idea. That was the first time we did a something where we had a stream with the members. Was that and that was 6 years ago. I can't believe it.
I'm gonna die soon. Time keeps on slipping,
slipping
into the future. That's in the Eagle documentary.
Actually, before we go, we should actually read a couple of super chats that have.
Oh yeah.
We have from Thomas Logan, who gives us $5. Bobby, describe your experience first watching Cronenberg's The Fly. Where were you? Who were you with? And where does it rank in the Cronenberg canon? Happy birthday.
That's a good question. I believe I went to an advanced screening of The Fly, and I saw it in downtown Seattle. I think I saw it at the UA 150. It's interesting because when I saw The Fly, and it came out in the summer of '86, and Fox had Aliens, The Fly, and Big Trouble in Little China coming out, and I was a huge David Cronenberg fan, and so he had Scanners, Videodrome, The Dead Zone. I'm trying to think what did he have come out between? I'm missing something between The Dead Zone and The Fly. I don't remember, but The Fly was clearly Cronenberg's at the time his biggest film. You had big stars. You had Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. Not that he worked with Christopher Walken, but these were big stars at the time, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was David Cronenberg making a big mainstream studio movie that felt like a big mainstream studio movie. It was still very Cronenbergian, right. But it was interesting. I thought it would lead to him doing more of that.
Kind of going the way of a Sam Raimi. Kind of like how Sam Raimi's trajectory changed after Spider-Man, after Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it probably makes sense because what a downer. Talk about a romantic tragedy. Yeah. What a great downer of an ending. And then of course 2 years later we got one of my favorite Cronenberg movies, Dead Ringers. Yes. Which is with Jean-Pierre Bujold and Jeremy Irons, which is about as anti-studio as you can get.
Right.
I mean, I loved it. And I was very happy to see that Cronenberg did not. I mean, he made, or was it M Butterfly? Did M Butterfly come out before The Fly?
M Butterfly would have come out after, because I think the play came out after. It would have had that play was on Broadway when I was in college, and so that was few years after The Fly had come out. So
yeah, that was 93.
Yeah,
I'm wrong. But now I want to look. But that I loved it. I mean, it was everybody. That was back when it's still the idea that no one would ever say that a movie sucked. Genre fans, like I went and saw Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone in 3D.
In 3D.
Not a good movie. Mm-hmm. But I didn't like it, but I thought there were parts of it, like Michael Ironside is the overdog, right. Molly Ringwald, pre-John Hughes. But no one said, oh, that movie sucked. You'd go, it was all right.
Right.
Nobody would say it sucked. Where now everything sucks. Mm-hmm. This sucked. Because people, look, if you've grown up in a post-Jurassic Park world, there's no way you can go back and watch that. You're all you care about is the pinnacle of visual effects and the pinnacle of it's impossible. You have to have very discerning viewers that are able to allow themselves to go back pre-CG world and enjoy genre cinema. It's hard. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I've been talking about this on the channel since I started it, and it's too bad. But now movies either are awesome or they suck.
Right.
And that wasn't the case.
Right.
There was a whole spectrum of how you felt about movies, and any genre film, you would go see it and be like, there's things in it I liked. You would concentrate on the fact that it was pretty good. I liked it.
Right.
It was all right. I liked the music. There'd be your first impulse would say what you liked about it. Nobody would say, "Oh, that sucked."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guilty of this now too. It sucked. I hate that because that is the dumbest that shows you are the dumbest possible critic of a film that you could possibly be.
Sure.
Because nothing entirely sucks. There's elements of everything that has, and to say something sucked, it's like, no, you suck.
Right.
That's my first impression of like,
and I don't see a movie between The Fly and the Dead Zone and The Fly. The 83 was the Dead Zone, followed by The Fly in 86.
Yeah, he probably is in development. Okay, and that's there. Then wasn't. I was right.
There
Okay.
wasn't anything in between there. Then after that was Dead Ringers, Naked Lunch, and then and Butterfly. So
yeah, and Dead Ringers and Naked Lunch were not disappointing at all.
no, I mean, gosh, I am a huge fan of Existence, which I don't think gets a lot of love. And then, of course, his History of Violence and Eastern Promises. That was a great period for him as well. So.
Yeah, no, and then A Dangerous Method. He got away from. He's always been interested in the human condition.
Yeah.
But his body horror stuff. I mean, which as a kid, I loved the whole idea that you as a human being, this intellect trapped, and then of course his new movie, The Shrouds, which was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I understood where it came from, but it had a really intriguing idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was a great movie.
Yeah.
And Crimes of the Future, I wish it was different than what he had originally wrote.
They're more. It's like the ideas are great. They're not always being necessarily brought to life in the most satisfying way, but
yeah,
they don't suck. They're still good in them. So
no, I mean, I watch all of his movies and like Maps to the Stars. I like that. Even though it's it's kind of a rough watch, but he has an incredible career, and the fact he's still making movies.
Yes,
I mean, he's been making movies since the late '60s when he was in college.
That's right. And then our last super chat here, Rob, is from Brandon Lucas, £5. Alex Kurzman said he made Section 31 because base Star Trek is unappealing to the modern audience and is dying, and Section 31 was a needs must. I don't know. Yeah,
that's why I mean, when you hear stuff like that, you wonder, how does that guy continually get to make?
I don't understand.
Making Section 31 by any metric is god awful.
I know.
It's god awful. And first and foremost, because it never understood, nor did Discovery understood what Section 31 even was, as it was introduced in Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the direction they took it in was the most brain dead, adolescent, dumb way they could have done it.
Yeah.
To the point where you have special uniforms and literally membership cards.
And what a waste of Michelle Yeoh's talent.
A total waste of her talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just god awful.
I know.
So bad.
Yeah. Okay, so with that,
all of Star Trek since 2017.
Yeah.
What a true destruction and desecration of something that meant so much to so many people.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, with that, Rob, I think we are going to say goodbye to our friends on YouTube, but the conversation will continue for the members in the...
I need a couple of minutes.
We'll do that.
Because...
Is there any last minute announcement for the YouTube crowd?
No, just want to thank everybody for their continued support. I've been doing more shows, which I'm going to do more of.
Yeah.
I'm going to start taking Jack Reed's advice. Hopefully I can get him to help me with the channel. I was also thinking of a rebrand of the channel. So instead of the Burnettwork, just turning it into my name.
Oh.
Because it's not really my idea of wanting to make a network hasn't worked out as well as I might have hoped.
Well, and the way that the YouTube algorithms work and all that, it just kind of screws things up. So
yeah, and it really has been limiting the channel.
Yeah.
So I like the Burnettwork. I like the cheekiness of it and all that, but I I think I'm just gonna rebrand the channel. Not that I will still put out the otaku experience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I need to do that because look, man, goals. I want my 100,000 subscriber plaque
We got to get there.
from YouTube. I want my plaque. I've been slacking off everybody. There's people that have leapfrogged way beyond my channel.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand.
Well, you
I'm
haven't
an
been
acquired
slacking
taste.
off. You've just been busy with other projects. So it's
That's
not
true.
slacking off.
That is
It's not
true.
slacking off.
That's true.
All right.
But
so
I want my plaque.
just like you want your cake. I don't know if you saw your image for this week's show. I knew you weren't even aware, but
I didn't even look at it yet.
so you have to see it because you just said I want my plaque, and you have to take a look at the image that we did for you for this week's show. So
I'm looking at it right now. Let's see here. I will jump into it. I can't believe I. Is that from Creep Show?
Yeah, I want my cake.
That's amazing. Oh, dude, that is a deep cut.
There it is. I'm showing it
Wow.
now to the audience there. Yep, there's Rob, and he wants his cake. So
That is amazing. Wow.
So that was your birthday image for today. All right.
Wow, I'm going to put that up and thank everybody for their birthday wishes. This is amazing.
And with that, everybody, thank you, Rob. Once again, happy birthday weekend. And for those of you in the chat, stay here. I think Rob's going to take a little break.
Wow, you are clever. This is one clever. Well done. You're going all the way back to 82 for this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the moment I said it's your birthday weekend, that was the image that came into my mind was your head with candles on top. So
that is hilarious.
All right. Goodbye to our friends on YouTube.
I'll be right back. I just have to hit the head because I didn't before I came down. I was drinking a big cup of coffee and I must pee.
All right. We'll leave it. Now our friends.
And I have to go. I have to go up to the next. I have to go to the house.
All
So
right.
I have to leave the studio. I'll be back.
Okay, we'll be back. We'll take a little break.